Hey guys, in honor of our Crocktoberfest, I wanted to share with you a review of my Crockpot and the one that I use in my prep and in my kitchen. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. What I use is mine is a Hamilton Beach and it's called a Stay or Go. And I think it's called a Stay and Go because if you are traveling with it, it has these little hooks here. So it latches, and actually the lid is on so tight you can pick it up. It's probably not good for it, but you can't even pick it up by the lid. Like nothing's gonna spill out of this. It almost like air seals it. So that's really cool. That's a pretty cool feature of mine that I never use. So there's two features of mine that I don't use, but that are probably really cool if you need these. So that's one of them. So the first thing to know about my Crockpot is, for me, it's pretty big. So you just unclamp those. If you're staying home, you don't have to latch it. You can just stick it in here. But I don't actually know, but I believe this is a 6-quart, but it's pretty big. So for me and the way I prep, it's a little too big. So I usually have to cut my cook time back a little bit just to accommodate that so it doesn't get too hot, because it does cook pretty hot and it doesn't fill enough to really, because your Crockpot should be full, and mine never is, so I have to really adjust the time down. But some of the big pros about my Crockpot that I do like, so it's really easy to use, and that's something that was important to me. I mean, most are now, but it has, did it come on? Yeah. So it has a program button, and it'll do this automatically. So you just set the time. So say 5 hours, you hit enter, and then it'll ask you high or low, and then you hit enter again. Now it's gonna cook for 5 hours on low, and then it's gonna shut off to warm. The reason that I got this Crockpot is because I wanted that feature. So when I was working full time, excuse me, I was traveling an hour to work each way. So I was gone from my house 9 or 10 hours a day. I couldn't use a Crockpot. Anything in mine would literally be charred when I got home because I was gone. Most things need to cook 6, 7, 8 hours tops. So that was a huge feature for me, and I do love that. It works really, really well. So it's easy to use. That's really the only settings. It does have a manual, so if you are gonna be home and you kind of want to control it yourself, you just hit the manual, choose high or low, enter. Oh, and it also beeps when it's done, which I like too. So if you're in the house and you hear it, it's a reminder, especially if you need to come mix maybe some heavy cream in there or something, the dairy at the end, that's a nice reminder to go in, it's done, throw the cheese in or whatever it is you need to do. Okay, so you can do manual or auto, it's easy to use. I love the warm feature. Something else I really like that's cool is it actually puts a countdown on here. So if I set it for 5 hours and I leave, and I don't know how long I've been gone or what time I started this, it counts down. So I'm like, oh, dinner will be ready in 2 hours. So I can kind of plan ahead if I forget to note what time I started it, which is often. So I really like that it actually tells you the time. And then it has the clamps. So that is another bonus that I think people might like if they use it. The last thing I'll tell you about that looks really cool that I have never used, excuse me, it comes with this hole in the lid for a probe, and it has it's almost like a meat thermometer, I guess. You put it in your meat. You're only gonna wanna use that if you're making something large, like a roast or maybe a whole chicken or like a turkey breast. You can put that right in there and it will tell you the digital temperature of that meat right here on your Crockpot. I've never used that. I'm embarrassed to say, but see, this thing's already hot and I only had it on for a second. I actually tried to find that today to show you that feature. I don't even know where it is. I've never used it. But if that's something you think you might use, it's a pretty cool feature. So a couple cons that I found with this, it is a little too big for my family, and it does seem to cook really hot. So definitely, if you're thinking about this one, I would cut times down in the beginning until you kind of figure out what they are. The other thing is I kind of go back and forth with this. It is a cheap piece of equipment. So, it's not a big investment. So I wouldn't expect, top quality products, but it is kind of like, I've only had this, maybe a year and a half, something like that. And the enter button, I don't know if you can see it, but it's already like, you have to really push it because it's already kind of dented here. Some of the facing is not so good. So, you know, it is kind of a cheaper made product. I looked it up on Amazon, it's about $32. So that's probably the reason. I know there's much nicer ones, but overall, it's a really great crock pot. If you have a little bit larger family, I would recommend this. I think it's a great crock pot. It has served us well. I'm looking at switching. I can't wait to watch these reviews myself. I'm looking at switching to one of those kind of 4-in-1s and getting rid of some of my other equipment. But as far as just a slow cooker, this is perfect. So that's it. The Hamilton Beach Stay and Go, and we'll put a link right to it on Amazon with this video. Thanks. See you in Crocktoberfest.